I knew there was something that I had overlooked, and I found it. There we are. Good evening, all. Apologies for not starting. It looks like my router needed just a momentary reset, literally before I went live. Everything's been fine all evening, and then all of a sudden, uh, YouTube wasn't getting enough of a rate from this. So yeah. Good evening, all. Good to see you. Good evening to Wooter, to Sloth, to Jay Grizz. Good to see you, bud. Long time no see. To Jamlack, Ray Louderback, Shadow Girl, Stakaragord, Space Saga, Neil B, Shinobi Trip, Rusty Pigeon Gaming, Steve Madman, Luna. Welcome in all. Feathers McClaw. It's Anne Howard. Good to see all of you. Why are you hearing double? Is anyone else hearing double? Are we all good, or are you just on two windows? I'm hoping not. Um, so yes, good to see you all. First off, Jay Grizz, we are all good, thank you. We are completely unaffected by what's been going on in the UK, at least until now. So thank you very much. No, everyone is safe. Very kind, thank you. Yeah. So wow, lots of people in. Do you know what? It's going to be really quite exciting because at some stage I'm going to get to the point where um, I'm going to not be able to say hello to everyone, or saying hello to everyone is going to take an exceptional amount of time, and kind of it's going to be cool for those days, but I'm going to miss the whole talking to talking about stuff. Volume went down while you were saying hello, not hearing double. Okay, good. I think I'm gonna write on the volume on here. I'm just gonna keep an eye on it, but it seems to be okay. I just don't want to peak because I hate bad audio in streams, and I don't want to do that to you guys. But yes, welcome in. Good to see you. So yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. Now there is, before we get on to this, there's a thumbnail, and I realise that having had this news since Thursday, this is the first time I'm talking about the Perseus. If you are not aware in the Discord, I am working on a Perseus video. I had something in the works, and I think there's so much good content in there that is not affected by the Perseus, or the Perseus trailer. I almost said that's what it felt like to me. The IAE trailer. That what I'm doing is I'm adapting that. It's taking a little bit longer, but I think it's going to be worth it because the initial intent of the video was everything. It was going to be the lore around the Perseus. It was going to be what we knew up until that point. It was going to be how I can foresee it being used in game, and a very interesting military real world parallel. And I think it's the design philosophy behind the Perseus. So yes, lots coming in that video. It's probably one of the longer videos that I've done because I really want to do the Perseus justice. So that I'm hoping will be out soon, but I don't quite know when, for reasons that are elaborated on in the Discord. Hey, Stimpack, good to see you. Widget, hello, mate. I haven't forgotten about the eating thing. Widget, I'm going to get to that, I promise. But I'm not willing to do any of my actual socks. I need to find something else. So we'll get there, I promise. We're just not quite there yet. Sorry, I realise it might look like I was doing something dodgy. I'm not. I was cleaning my glasses, so nothing dodgy. And unfortunately, for this evening, it's going to be that one. So yeah, not drinking anything. Well, this weekend, really. Just gonna take it easy a bit, I think. And do you know what? This is a little bit close. I feel like I'm invading your personal space as we speak. So why don't I do that? That feels a little bit better. Like I was really all up in your grill at that point, wasn't I? And that's no one needs that. No one needs that. So yeah, thank you, Widget. A couple of bits that I need to get on. What do you mean better, Luna? What did you not want me? Did you not want me right? No, no. Okay, fine. Um, but yeah, no, it's lovely to see everyone in, and we're going to talk about through some stuff. Of course, I'm going to start off with talking about some of the news that we've had this week, just because I want to give things a chance to populate before we start talking about the Perseus and IEE, because I know that's what is important to a lot of us right now. Nothing at the moment, Wiggy. I'm still dribbling and falling over my intro, so you're all good, my friend. you haven't missed much at all, which is a good thing. So yeah, so I'm going to go and find some of this Gucci new music I've got. Well, you might have heard it last time, but I'm hoping it's just about audible enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop over to the screen. We're going to have a look at some of the subscriber promotions, and then we're going to go through some of the news that's happened this week with the roadmap and the updates, although they feel a little bit light, but we'll talk about that in a moment. And then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of today, the IEE program and what we think / know is coming. And then we'll talk about the battleship in the room, the Perseus. So yeah, that's the plan for today. We're all good. And yeah, of course, the PTU, that sort of stuff happening as well. Rufus, good to see you, my friend. Welcome in. Notorious, I'm not sure if I said hello, but if I didn't, apologies. Welcome in, Shippers. Good to see you. So yeah, lots of stuff going on. Allow me to head over now to what is probably some of the most divisive subscriber promotions I think we've seen in a little while. Is that okay? Is that working? It might be that I'm boosting it a little bit, so it might be that the boost is causing disruption. Stand by. Is that alright? Are we all good? Cool. Yeah, it just trying to keep it a little bit low because I don't want it to, or it doesn't need to be over talking myself. It was a quality thing. Okay. More like you're in a tiny room with a tiny bit of echo. It might well be. So my computer's downstairs at the moment because I'm moving stuff around upstairs. So I'm kind of speaking into a bit of a corner. Now I might be able to solve that problem by doing this. Did that work? Has that removed the echo? Ta-da! Let's find out. Hope we get Jack's Pass this year. Very possibly. Let's find out. Right, so let's nip across now. Transition. There we go. You got the sound effect in this evening. So subscriber promotions then. Two things that have kind of stood out for us. In here, the vehicle of the month is the Guardian in all three of its variants. But it's this that seems to really have been dividing people. It's the subscriber promotions. So there's the jacket, which has got a couple people's attention, mainly because it's obviously not able to be worn over any sort of armor or whatever at this point, I don't believe. However, I do kind of like the style of it. I think it's quite nice. I think it's adding a little bit more flavour. And, there's just a little bit more detail on this than there is in so much of the clothing in the verse. So much of it is very, very basic. So that's kind of cool. Centurion level subscribers are getting that. So that's your basic ones. And then there's this. And I know that this has kind of upset a few people. I wasn't sure about it when all we could see was this angle, so I like this bit. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure about it. Someone said it felt very World of Warcraft-esque, and I kind of see that. But then I saw this bit, and that's much more Headhunters. So I think it's won me over a little bit. But there's that, and then obviously the Headhunter collection being both of them. So yeah. If you're Imperator level, you get all this anyway. The other one. Yeah, Imperator level, you'll get all of it. If you're Centurion level, you'll just get the jacket. So yeah, lots of people saying they like it. Grufus, Luna both liking it, that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's the subscriber promotions. Other than that, not much more in there. You get your money off token for the store. So spend money to spend more money. That works well. And then obviously your Guardian or your Guardian variants. The bit that I'm not sure I like is the fact that you get different levels of insurance and stuff for being different level subscribers. I don't know. It just feels a bit crappy. I don't think it was always like that. So I'm not sold on that kind of separating all out. It doesn't feel right. But there you go. That's where it is. That's where we are. And that is the subscriber promotions for this month. Chair looks cool. System back. Don't need it at the minute. Wiggy says I've skipped it. I bought the Citizen Compact, so I have all the bones I need. Interesting. Got to make sure you get enough bones. I'd rather a more clean, modern-looking throne, says Shadow Girl. Yeah. So, Rusty Pigeon says, yeah, bones on guns. Absolutely. Use CCU and get it LTI and cheaper, says Neil. Yeah, plenty of ways to earn up to those. I just, like I say, the fact that it's the Guardian, and that's great for everyone. The bit that I really don't like is the separating out insurance and ships that are available between subscribers. I'm not entirely sure. I think that's great. But yeah, so that's that. Then we had the roadmap roundup. Exceptionally light one this time round because it's not like there's enough in 4.4 already. As someone's already mentioned, yeah. As Wooter says, big news at the moment is that PTU is now available. I'm not sure what wave we're in. We were in wave 1 last time I checked, with Nyx available. Now, I thought about rushing across to Nyx, but the moment they said that we've got Nyx, I was like, yes, we're going to go and have a look at that. But Nyx is being built out, as I'm sure we're all aware. There are only parts of Nyx available, and much like I did with Pyro, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Nyx as a first time. I'm going to travel there normally, so I'll travel there from the Stanton system, and go and experience the whole thing as it's supposed to be experienced. We'll go to Delamar, we'll go to Delevsky, but we'll do that all in live once some of these bugs have been ironed out. I've been watching a couple of the streams. Daily Noob, by the way, over on Twitch, does a great stream. He was who I streamed with back at CitizenCon, I'm sure you'll remember. So yeah, I've been watching his stream, and there are incredible frame rate issues and functionality issues at the moment with Nyx. So I'm quite happy to wait and not feel the need to rush after that, because nobody enjoys bad frame rate and crappy functionality. So I'll let PTU iron that out, and then when it comes to live, we'll go across. Looking forward to get stuck into all the missions and stuff. That's going to be cool, but that's that. Wiggy says, Jacket is pretty Mad Max, to be honest. I live in Mad Max country and have watched Mad Max in a Recreation of the Compound from Mad Max 2. Nice. That's very, very cool. I like that. I like that a lot. That's awesome. Yeah, Mad Max, good films. Good set of films. Wooter says, my test had one issue beside the lag, and that's exterior cargo pads. I can take stuff off, but I couldn't put it on it. Fair enough. Part of the frame rate is just so many people in the same area at the same time. Yeah, exactly that. So I'm going to let that kind of exactly the same as I did with Pyro. I'm going to make that a thing, and I'm going to go experience that by myself for the first, not by myself, but you know what I mean. In live for the first time, I want to experience that without the whole test environment. Just getting there. So yeah, that's the plan for the moment. So not much in the additions to the release view. We've got the Meteor and the Guardian MX being added to Wickelow's ships. We've got art refactors done on the neutron cannon. Great. And we've got the exterior freight elevators, which Woot has already been talking about. So there's that. It's just going to be really cool. For those that kind of joined after Levski and Delamar got taken out of the verse, it's going to be really cool. And I know, for example, Khan is one of them. There's a few others within DGP, and there'll obviously be loads of backers who never got to saw Levski and Delamar. And the new Delamar, what was shown in CitizenCon, everything that I've heard and everything that I've seen indicates it's exactly as it was at CitizenCon, which is great news. That's just really exciting. It's so cool that something they delivered at CitizenCon, that's actually what it's looking like in the verse, and that's how people are experiencing it, minus obviously the PTU crap and the frame rates. So looking forward to going and seeing that. I'm sure it's going to be, they're going to have optimization issues. They always do when they bring in a new location. We had it with Orison. Orison was obviously a laggy nightmare when we first got it. And then when they updated Lawville on Hurston, that was a pain in the ass frame rates there absolutely tanked. So no reason to expect that Delamar and Levski won't do the same thing, but I'm sure they'll improve it like they've improved everything else. So yeah, looking forward to that and seeing all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Silas Cello, welcome in. I love that I can move back into Levski. Absolutely. They showed us base building last year. That. Downloading PTU now, says Sloth. Bit too excited to check out Levski and take an early look at the Perseus. So I don't believe the Perseus is in PTU yet. If it is, I need to go and sub. Um, but I don't believe it is yet. I think it's like so many of the new ships. I think it's coming just to IE. We might see it briefly at the IE patch when they test it. It's not. Says yeah, Perseus not in yet, and I'm not massively surprised by that. Sad sloth noises. Yeah, sad badger noises too. But I'm looking forward to getting my hands on the mighty Perseus. That's going to be awesome, and we'll talk more about that later. But yeah, so there's that. So not much in terms of news, and unfortunately that kind of continues into, as far as I can see, the October monthly report. I had a chance to read this briefly. There were a couple of things that I picked up on, but so much of this is just is in tech speak, and I'm not a programmer, so there's so much in here that I don't get, right? And there's so much in here that doesn't seem to be written correctly. So it says here, for example, resources global to the mission are first declared. That's not a complete sentence, is it? I'm reading that, and my brain is refusing to believe that that's a completely full sentence. So there's that. I mean, what I quite like the idea of, though, they discussed dog capture with animal trainers. And the way I'm reading that is I believe what they're trying to say is they're doing motion capture with dogs, or they're talking about it. Which one of those dogs in those little bauble suits that they had all the stars in, like, I can imagine that dog looking absolutely sick to death before it even starts recording. And then, like, the image of it just doing all the poses that it needs to. Like, how are you going to get the dog to do that? What? So that's going to be quite good fun. Oh, okay. It means they got the order of declarative functions correct. Thank you, Wiggy. That still makes no sense to me, but at least it's a full sentence for those that can understand it. So that's a win. So yeah. So yeah, I think they're kind of talking about what is possible. Is like, you talk to the animal trainers and go, okay, what can you actually make the dog do within the bounds of what's ethical and reasonable, and what are they going to be like if we strap this massive suit to them and that sort of stuff. Which that's fine. Um, so we're going to get a face to the ATC in Levski. That was mentioned back in September, back when I was absolutely adamant that Nix wasn't coming. That went well. And that's that. There's not a lot else in here. There's a new heavy armor talked about. There's a new gang being talked about. When isn't one? And then we get to the ships, and this is where the first kind of bits come in now. The Aurora and the Hammerhead are obviously going through their gold standard, which is just bringing up to the modern functionality standards of today. Gold standard, after being brought up to gold standard, they'll obviously fall behind the modern standard again and need to be brought up again and again and again. So gold standard doesn't mean finished, it just means they're up to date for now. So yeah. It's nice to see that the Aurora is getting some work as well. Because flying her around, she really feels like an old thing. Hull B is coming up to white box review. Both Ironclad models and the command module are working. I'll zoom in a little bit here, so hopefully you can see a little bit more of the text. And then 4 unannounced ships progress through October. First is on track for its final review in early November. So yeah, again, this will likely be one of the ships that we've got announced for IE. Art was also completed for an all-new ship. before it continued down the pipeline, with paints being created alongside a full pass from QA. Okay, there's a variant which may well be the RSI Hermes, rumored to be a cargo variant of the Apollo, but we're not sure. And the all new ship may well be something called the Salvation, which it looks like might be an RSI ship. Greycat UTV has entered white box, and the Anvil Liberator is now in pre-production. So this is the shipping ship, designed to take stuff around, big cargo, only 2 crew. Yeah, so that's in production, as it should be. The only bits that really you can't do with it at the minute, that you would expect to do, are the rearm, repair, refuel functions, which are being worked on now anyway. So nothing now holding the Liberator back from coming in. Wow, Shadow Girl, I'm not repeating that, but possibly. So yeah. So Woogie1 says, sometimes if a function is declared at the wrong time, earlier functions can't call whatever that function does, and other functions can't function like functions should function functionally. I understand it less now than when I first. Thanks, Woogie. Do you know what? I know you'll talk. I know that those are English words, but those words in that sentence do not make any sense to me whatsoever. Sorry. I just. Yeah. So there's that. But yeah. So there's that. And what's really good here is a large-scale developer Q&A paid test this month to check its robustness and intent in combat. This is the Perseus, which was a great success. So it seems like when we get hold of the Perseus, it will be very close to what they'd intended it to be. We'll just have to see whether it aligns with our expectations and the way we're going to use it in the verse. With the Kraken, which is going to be interesting. Sorry. Yeah. It's been quite a weekend. I do apologise. Yeah, with the Kraken working as well, which is going to be interesting because it's the first of our in-game carriers. So that's going to be really, really cool to get in, and it's going to start opening up, I think, a lot of the kind of play. I don't want to say. I don't want to say gameplay, because we can do a lot of what you do with carriers anyway. It's going to be this idea of moving a ship around and having lots of people on it, and just having that experience. I think that's going to be really cool. So yeah, all the community stuff, blah 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 blah. What was really interesting is in core gameplay, there's just a throwaway line, which is this one, which us FPS players will be really pleased about, and that is that we are bringing back the ability to have 2 weapons stored in your back while you hold a third one in your hands, which is going to be really great for stripping attachments and stuff without having to get rid of weapons, especially given the amount of weapons that we have access to now that are rewards or limited, or that we can't necessarily claim back just at the moment because item retrieval is not yet working fully. So that's really, really cool. And then here we go, kicked off the early stages of capital ship repair, rearm, refuel. Ta-da! Although, when it says early stages, there's still some time to go yet. So there's that. I don't know about you guys. I end up skipping a lot of like the economy chat and stuff, because it just seems to be so. It's not that they're not doing good work, and it's not that they're doing work that doesn't need to be done. It's just that they're doing it for now, and you know that 2 patches down the line, the way the economy is going to look is very different to the way it is now, and that's just going to keep evolving until they get Quanta in, until that, or whatever it is going to be now. The economy stuff, I feel like, is just a massively losing battle for them. But you know, maybe I'm wrong. What's really cool is that they've managed to do some work on things like the gas cloud tech. So again, the mild stuttering that you might experience around the gas giants, they've done work to eliminate that. So that's really cool. Just gonna have a read through. I'm hoping the Perseus will be able to tank some Idris railgun shots and instead of being one shot like the Hammerhead. Don't know. I mean, there's only one way to find out, right? You're just not testing it on mine. I want ships to have the expanse style of railgun stuff, so long as it's not my head that gets shot off. Um, so yeah. Economy has had a stalemate. It hasn't really changed much in the last 2 years since this team started. Agreed. And it's, by all accounts, it looks like Tony Z is now kind of retired from game design, which is a real shame. Although there was, he's now a game developer emeritus, which basically means it's a post retirement kind of title, which is a shame, because he had some great ideas as to how to make this game really, really reactionary. Of course, him going doesn't mean those ideas can't be continued by other people, but I feel like he was very much the driving force in that team. So a lot of the damage that needed to be repaired in the future will be on the outside of ships, though there's only so much you can do in battle to heal up a ship. Yeah, so you'll lose your armor and stuff, and then it'll be all about keeping the components inside going. Sloth says, I'd be completely down for that. That's the Percy taking a shot from the Idris and then all hands on deck to repair. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then, I mean, not huge amounts more. They're still working on the mission system V2, which is going to be really useful. They're now mentioning things like reputation V2, which is also good. Yeah. Some existing missions will move over to the next system with new narrative elements, while some older content will return, including missing person, black box recovery, and retrieve cargo. So that's kind of cool. And then they're looking at as well the design review is done for Siege of Origin, which hopefully will be instanced at some point in 2026 and in our hands. And I cannot wait for that to happen. Going to do videos, going to do the whole shebang. It's good fun. They're also talking about a major loot refresh for underground facilities and distribution centers. So it's nice to see them talking about distribution centers. For me, they're not talking about it in the right way. It should be about making them a major destination in the verse and knowing that if you have a mission to an underground facility, it's going to be both very much fun and full of loot. Basically, everything that ASD is, the distribution centers should have been. Maybe slightly less narrative driven, just a site for missions. But yeah. Sloth says, Siege of Origin, my body is ready. They need to get the social system in the game right now. I feel we'll need it. Seeming engineering might wreck a lot of solo players in capital ships. Yeah, I mean, look, we'll talk about this once we've got past the Perseus. So someone remind me. But I think a lot of people are sending up emergency flares about engineering, and I think it might be a bit. It might be a bit premature. And I'm sure for a lot of these people, it's not the first time they've heard that. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are maybe looking at the wrong things or getting the wrong impression from it. So yeah, and that's that. I mean, there's not huge amounts of this sort of stuff. The fact that they're still mentioning item recovery in early stages of instancing, that's good. And I'm pleased they are, and that they're moving on with stuff as well. Lots of talks about it continuing down the optimization route, which is really cool, because of course they're going to need that for when Squadron 42 releases. More on that in a little while. So, on to the big piece of news then, IAE. IAE happening on Thursday of next week, starting with RSI. Onto, well, you have the schedule there in front of you. So yeah, I'm just going to move that up a little bit so you can see that. There is a free fly all the way through this. It says it just up here that there will be free to play throughout the entire event. So they've obviously got a lot of confidence now in their server meshing, and I think during the last free fly, it was the least impactful I've ever seen a free fly be on gameplay. So that's That's encouraging. And I guess for them, it's the chance to do another stress test without having to really organise much on their side over and above the normal IAE stuff. So yeah, lots of ships being talked about, lots of ships being suggested in the mix, and all that sort of stuff. And there are some titles of ships and that sort of stuff. And what I wanted to do with you right now is I just wanted to go through kind of the titles and the names and everything else to see how they would be kind of distributed, if it were, as it were, right? So we've got RSI and the ships that are apparently coming with this. I'll pause there. If you don't want to know about the ships, if you're not interested in the spoilers, give me a moment. Come back in a couple of minutes and we'll be good. We will have stopped talking about the ships that we are pure speculation at this point, just in case. Gone? Done? Good. So RSI, apparently 3 ships for that day, starting off incredibly strong. The Perseus, the Hermes, which looks like an Apollo variant, or sounds like an Apollo variant, and especially in the UK, Hermes is actually a courier service, so it might be that. And then the RSI Salvation. And this, people is guessing, is the RSI Salvage Starter. In very much the same way as the Golem came in to open up mining to the sub $100 crowd. The Salvation seems to be very much in that same vein. They said at the time they were going to do more. So that would be there. Then 2 days later, Drake Interplanetary are releasing apparently the Clipper. Now there might be an image of that in the video. We'll look at that in just a second, and so on and so forth. That means another skip for a day here, being Kruger and the Kruger L22 Alpha Wolf. Whatever an Alpha Wolf is over and above the Wolf seems a little bit, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Cynical to maybe just release. I guess the Wolf did so well, they decided to release one on top. But there's that. Anyone excited for IAE System Pack? I'm sure there will be. Tibbs, hello mate, welcome in. Good to see you. Yeah, and then we've got the Grey Cat Day, which is potentially the Grey Cat UTV. Potentially, or the MDC, I don't know which one it is now, but there's that. Okay, and that would be it then, potentially. They certainly seem spaced out correctly for what we've had shown to us. So, yeah. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, that's still a lot of ships. I mean, that's 6 ships. Only one of which has been sold already. So that's 5 straight to Flyable, because they talked earlier on in the year about there being no other concept ship sales this year because nothing's in the pipeline and it takes longer than what the time they had remaining, and this was in September, to get a concept sale to the point where they can actually sell it. So these are all straight to Flyable or drivable in the case of the Grey Cat vehicle. But yeah, an interesting one. And then what I will do is somewhere in here I have a video of, and this is going to take a little while, this might take a little while to find. I have a video of the IAE thing. So what I want to do is I want to be able to pause it. So give me a second, I'm just going to see if I can find it. Dear, I've got so many videos in this folder. I really should have sorted this out beforehand. I do apologise. Let's scroll all the way to the bottom and then come back up. So many videos. I think it's this one. Yes, it is. Okay, so it started there. Right, so I'm just going to kill that because I accidentally recorded a phone call in the back of this and nobody needs to hear that. So, the Perseus, which we'll come back to, there's just another ship in here that I wanted to raise people's awareness of or draw their attention to. Now, I'm not sure when I saw this that I believed it was what they said it was, but we'll have a look anyway. Right. So it's this thing here. Okay, I don't think, in fact, I've just said this thing here. I've just realised that I don't have my cursor thing enabled in the window. Basically, what you'll see on the far right of the screen is you've got the reclaimer, something below it. The next ship left looks like a Delta Wing. Yeah, so it's got that, and then it's like the crossed sail thing. There are thoughts that that may be the Clipper. When I first saw it, I thought it was the Reliant, the Tanner thing, that thing. That's what I thought that was, but apparently not. I don't know. What do you guys think? What is that? Is that the Clipper, or is that something else? My body's covering it. Well, you're stuffed. So yeah, give me 2 seconds. Let's have a look. Okay, so if I go for that bit, I'm gonna go for this bit. Bear with me 2 seconds. I'm just gonna move myself away. I hadn't seen that. Good spot. So let's just fade. Ta-da! There we go. Okay, so it's behind the Carrack and to below it to the right. Okay, it's the Clicker 100%, says Stimpack. It is the Clipper though, says Space Saga. It's my face, says Citizen Ninja. That nobody's going to buy that. That ship's going to flop. There's a badger on top of that ship. I mean, there's always a badger on something. The real freakness. Hello, Bud. Welcome in. So yeah. So there's that. To me, it looks like a Tanner. I don't get the. Am I? Am I just going nuts? So I'm just going to do this for a second. I don't know why that decided to come up again. So if I go back to that video and then do this, what we'll do is I'll grab that very quickly. Let's grab that. Oink. Okay, and then maybe I can zoom in on this? Question mark. No? Okay. Well, maybe if I save it, that'll work. We'll just call it something random. There we go. Give me 2 seconds. See, this is what happens. When you don't plan ahead, it all goes horribly, horribly wrong. Here we go. Right. No, I can see why that might be the Clipper. Is that... I don't know. Is that definitely what it is? Yeah, so you're right. So it isn't the Reliant. It is not the Reliant. You are correct. Open in browser. Here we go. So it's not that, right? Because it doesn't have this open shape here. It's asymmetric, and whilst it does have a sticky out bit here, it doesn't have the sticky out bit here. You also can't see the engine modules there. So it's not that, right? Because you don't have the cut-ins. This is, I mean, it might be there, but it's not. It's asymmetric, and that looks far too chunky, the back end. So it's not that. Next question, is that the Corsair? I don't know. Looks like a Herald with a Corsair wing. Says Tibbs. Possibly. It is the Clipper. The Clipper rotates on takeoff and landing. Is this not the Corsair? Wow. People really are kind of... so stuck. Do you think they do this just so it makes us do what we're doing? Very possibly. It needs 3 wings to be Corsair. Yeah, I guess. Would we see the other wing from this angle? It's definitely got the blocky aspect of the Corsair, hasn't it? Fat pieces front and wings are opposite. Well, it depends. I mean, if that's banked over on its starboard side, then yes. If that's banked all the way over on its port side, maybe not. We need more pixels. Um, yes, we do. You're entirely correct. Um, yeah, so it's not the Corsair, is it? Because the front of the Corsair is longer than that. Um, and if that was at that angle, then but it does. I mean, it does kind of. Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting one. So that's where that is. But going back to the video, and I'm kind of a little bit, I guess, kind of, for want of a better phrase, I'm kind of shooting my load a little from the Perseus video that I'm doing. However, um, I don't think I'm going to get away with not showing this. So let's go back through the video then. Um, and this was just me recording it off the original, the Perseus. So, a couple of things really stand out from this. First of all, god damn, she's a good-looking ship. Okay, but a couple of things here that I want to get. Maybe we'll go back and have a look at. Um, um, so yeah, I'm so impressed with what this looks like. Um, a couple of bits I'm not sure about, but we'll cover those off maybe in the video. But what we can see here is maybe whilst I'm doing this, what I'll do is I'll add my pointer back in maybe so you can actually see what I'm looking at. So you can see my cursor now, right? Yeah. Can just confirm that you can see the mouse cursor now. No? Yes? Indifferent? Oh, you can see it. Good. Okay, so in this area here, yeah, you've got what appear to be two Gatling weapons on top of the bespoke ballistic cannons, right? So it's basically like a stripped down version of the Javelin's turret, where the Javelin's turret, the guns on the Gatling guns on that are much bigger than this one. This looks to be very similar in that you've got that there. There is now a remote turret under the chin. Okay, twin. Again, it looks very much like this one at the back here. They're very similar. When you see the artwork of it, that's basically a carbon copy. Although I don't think it's an extra one, and we'll come to that in a second. The other thing that's worth noting from this is as we play it, that is a PDC. So there's a PDC here, which makes it's absolutely, guaranteed that there'll be one on the other side. So there are at least two PDCs on this thing. You can see it much clearer there. So the remote turret on the bridge hasn't moved. The one here on the chin, I think, is the one that was going to be between the engine cells at the back. So there's that. I just hate bespoke anything. It's just a tool so they can sell variants like the supposed variant Alpha Wolf. Yeah, possibly. Although I'm hoping that what will happen with that is that it will do very much like the Avenger is at the moment. The Avenger, the Titan, the Warlock, they're all variants. I think they're going to be basically modular later on in the day. They were just released far too soon to actually be modular ships or be sold as separate modules. I read somewhere that the Percy has 6 PDCs. So we'll see, because I mean I'm not sure at the moment, and I'll show you for why in a second. So Perseus is looking great. The other thing that's really nice is when they showed the concept work for the turret, or sorry, for the bridge, it looked like that front first seat of the three, which is in a triangle formation with that being the front. It looked like that might be at the back. It looked further back than the other two chairs. We've now had that confirmed by this image. That's not the case. So the front seat remains the front seat, and looking at that, the visibility looks incredible out of the front. And I think this thing is going to be an absolute pleasure to sit in and pilot, to look down and forward onto that gun, onto that turret at the front, and just have so much visibility around you. I think that's going to be incredible. But that, on by itself, is enough for me to want this ship. And of course, I have it, but thank you, boys. You know who you are. So there's a couple of things in here that people have talked about, and I just want to kind of see what we can home in on. So we're going to do exactly the same thing with the snipping tool, and what I'm going to do is I don't know why it keeps flicking back across to that. That's really frustrating, but here we go. So the thing that I have been told is that around about here, people think that might be a PDC. So we're going to have a look. PDC. Let's have a look at what we got. Okay, so I've zoomed right on it. So people think that that part on the underside, yep, so with the engine nacelle about there, they think that's a PDC as well. How people are coming to this conclusion, I have absolutely no idea, right? So the bit that we're looking at here is that section there, right? So I'm not sure. Jojo had a look at the holograph in the beginning area of the expo hall. We shall have. Can we get that Can we get that video and someone timestamp it and send it to me, and we'll have a look, because Jojo's pretty spot on with the stuff that he finds. So let's have a look. When I had a look at his video, I didn't see the bit about the hologram. I saw everything else that he'd done, but I also, because I was still scripting my video at the time, I didn't want to watch too much of his stuff because I didn't want it to start informing mine. I want it to be my thoughts rather than a repeat of what Jojo said. So I was a little bit careful. I was kind of skipping through and seeing what he was pointing at rather than that. Hollow on the IA4 had a missing Perseus model, but there were 6 floating PDCs. Really? And they are right. They're in the right place, are they? Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, that's silly. The Eve Inspiration, welcome in, my friend. Good to see you. Wow. So I mean that. So we'll talk about where those are, right? And that's the annoying thing. There is, see, that bit there is probably the most compelling bit because that looks like it's almost sticking out slightly. So that would be PDCs here, and then there is a rumor. We just scoot back ever so slightly. That there are PDCs also in this area. Right. So a PDC by the turret ring during the Atmo entry. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, we've not got to that bit yet. So this bit here, let's have a look. Oh, down there, you think that's what that is? Only one would find out. Let's have a look. Wow, I got bombarded with hologram image. Yeah, so that's the old image, right, Scarlett? That's the old bits and pieces. General chat. Let's have a look. Oh my god. Motion captured dogs. That's absolutely terrifying. But yeah, so by the turret entry, one down here, we think. Let's find out. Let's have a zoom in and see if that's what it indeed. It's got to stop doing that. That's just rubbish. All I'm doing is loading this up. So let's have a look. Let's grab that area. Let's save it. There we go. Very technical way of saving titles, me. And that's what we think that is it? I mean, it would have to be pointing this way, right? That's the back of it. That's the turret. That's the barrel there, maybe. The other thing is, what's that? Because that looks like the end of a Gatling, right? It's like the barrel's coming out here, and then you've got the ring around it. But that would be right on the end of the nacelle, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's that. Let's grab that and do that with it. Don't mind me, just figuring out stuff as I go along, as we go along. So there's that, and then let's grab this image. And what we can do here is we'll do that with it. And let's see, let's do a comparison with right at the beginning, the PDC that we can see. So we think it's that. I mean, you've got the circular object there, you've got the bit that comes down onto a short stubby barrel, bit that comes down onto a short stubby barrel. Yeah, I can see why people are saying that. So if we go back to the original image here then, sorry, there's a lot of jumping around, guys, and a lot of me manipulating things, and I'm not great at doing two things at once, so I feel the need to kind of talk. So I guess that's kind of very close to the underside. But she seems to be almost flat on, and that's right at the bottom. So wouldn't that be a spinal one? Like sitting on the underside? Like a dorsal, but underneath. Is that? So hard to tell. Because, I mean, here, you'd be forgiven for saying that this is a single-barreled remote turret. And we know that it's not, because we see the clip in the other video, right? So, yeah. So, yeah, that's the lower remote turret. But you see what I mean? Is just from this angle, you'd be forgiven for saying that that's single-barreled, because it doesn't look like there's a second barrel on there. It doesn't look twin at all. So, yeah. Manga, welcome in, my friend. Good to see you. So, yeah. It's not immediately clear. Yeah, thanks, Scarlett. I think that's got the images on it that I'm hoping for. I know people are kind of having a look through for me. Let's have a look. Visit site.
Here we are. Expo Hall. This is last, during Invictus, there was some Gladiuses here, I think, and there was an Idris flying around. We do see... Ooh. You know what I think this is? So I can see some little PDCs here, and we can see that there's the missing centerpiece of this hologram is missing. But just going off of the positioning of these PDCs, I think this is meant to have the RSI Perseus in between there, because as we saw in the video, the Perseus has two PDCs kind of angled.
So that would be the Perseus on this angle, right? So the horizontal for the Perseus would be this. So you've got starboard and port forward. You've got the underside, port and starboard aft. And then as it comes around, sorry Jojo, I'm going to kill your audio there, mate. You've got the ones that sit aft on the Perseus engines. I mean, for the engine size, it certainly looks about right. I mean, these don't look like engine ports, but it's that sort of shape, right? And that would sit on either side of the bit aft. I mean, yeah. So this is why I didn't see this, because this wasn't from his video of that one. It was something else entirely. But yeah, I think I find it interesting here that they've turned the turret around to go into do your atmospheric re-entry. That's an interesting touch. And you can see here quite clearly that the Gatlings have been reproduced on the underside of it as well. I mean, yeah, it certainly does look that way, assuming that that's what it is. And it certainly looks, because the port and starboard turrets weren't flat, they were offset, which matches the sloping kind of diamond-shaped hull of the Perseus, and it certainly indicates that two forward, two aft, or two further aft, midships, I guess you would call it, and then you have the aft-facing ones as well. And that's why earlier on I said I don't think the remote turret under the chin here is an addition. I think it's moved because there's no indication whatsoever that there's anything back there, and it would be massively limited in its arcs. So yeah, I think it's exactly, Eve. You are right. There aren't any other ships. Depending on what the salvation is, it might be that, but we already think that the salvation is the starter salvage ship, so it's not going to be that. The Apollo, it would be very strange for the Hermes. It would be very strange if that is the Apollo variant to get 4 when the others have none, or 6 when the others have none. It also that placement absolutely does not make sense, because those turrets would be basically where the rear hatch is, and be in the way of it. So yeah, and I think, like I said, so. I really wanted to get the Perseus video out over a week ago, before we saw the video. Now this is out, I've obviously had to change it. That will be coming out, and I promise there is stuff in there that I haven't heard other people talking about. Here I'm quite very, I'll tell you now, I'm non-committal about it. I basically said there's 2, there may be more. There's claims of up to 6. I can't see it, and I think that's obvious because even now I'm struggling to see it, but that holographic video, the hologram video, seems to be a very strong case. But it wouldn't be the first time we've had something like that in the verse and it not pan out. So yeah, there's that. Hey Sebastian, good to see you, my friend. Welcome in, long time no see. Rage Dog, hello buddy, good to see you. They said non-military ships won't get PDCs. Yeah, exactly that. I think maybe the medevac crosses the line into military because it's designed to go in and recover down pilots from combat, or ejected pilots from combat. But you're right, if the medevac doesn't have it, there's absolutely no reason the Hermes, if it is the cargo variant we're expecting, would have it either. So you're entirely correct. So yeah, lots. Also note the missile pods. I don't know if they're missile pods because they're aft facing. I think they might be countermeasure dispensers. I think maybe countermeasure launchers. So yeah, the Phoenix isn't military. Good point, well made, Sonny boy. Hey Truther, good to see you, my friend. And Sonny boy, welcome in. So yeah, so chin turret used to be the aft dorsal. Yeah, so it was aft. It was sat under kind of the aft point, and it basically sat between the rear engine nacelles and had no arcs whatsoever, and that was leading a lot of people to talk about this thing struggling to hit stuff. Now, the Gatlings on the manned turrets, I'm going to reserve a lot of my comments about how it looks because I want to get the ship in my hands. However, and I'm going to put it up before I go to bed today in the Discord link below, we are going to get every Perseus Persei we can lay our hand on. We're going to get them all together, and we are going to go out as a group on launch day on the 20th of November, as close as we can to launch. We'll all go to wherever it says in the event. We'll get our Perseus, and if you don't have one, you are still more than welcome. You can come and gun someone else's. You can come and crew someone else's. But make sure you check the Discord for the event details, where we're going to meet up, and how we're going to get this together. I cannot wait to take what do we call it? A gaggle, a cluster, a bombardment of Perseus, a broadside of Perseus, whatever. What's the collective noun for a Perseus? What are we going to go for? Give me some names. What is the reclaimer as well? What is the a flotilla? Fleet, a cluster F. Yeah, so it's going to be an escort of Perseus, a murder of Perseus, nice, a swagger of Persei, a battle group. Yeah, I like some of these names. I like a broadside of Perseus, a volley of Perseus. Like there's so many names it could be. But yes, incredible looking ship. And really nice to see some of the hull fleshed out as well, and have a little bit more detail than the very flat models we have been looking at for years since this thing was announced. So very, very shiny indeed. Something with doom in it. Yeah, absolutely. So again, let's have a. There was just a bit there. What do we got over here? There's the Clipper. Apparently, there's the Karak. I don't know what that is there. Anyone know what that is in the corner? What is that? A drop kick of Perseus to Sebastian. Hey, Macho, good to see you, my friend. There are size threes on the Perseus than initial concepted. I'm not entirely sure there are. I think you've got the two on the bridge, and you've got the two below the chin. I think the two below the chin were previously the ones that were aft. I think they've been moved, and I think there are PDCs down to replace it, based on what we've seen today. Is that an 890 jump? Is it? Is that an 8? Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes, it is. It's the angle that it's at. You're entirely right. It's an 890 jump. Yeah, so you've got the top two and then the front two. It looks like the ones at the rear have moved to the chin. So the ones at the rear, I don't think they're there anymore. It looks like, from the image that we've just seen, there are PDCs there instead now. So I don't think they're there anymore. So yeah. So unless, of course, the guns on top of the turrets are size 3s, in which case you're entirely right. There are more size 3s. But I don't know if they're going to be size 2s, 3s, or 4s. I'm really not sure. Do you think they might make more Frankenstein ships now they have the Shiv in game? I'm sure of it. I'm sure we're going to see more Graves Market ships. I think that's a really interesting way, because I think there were a couple more in some of the Squadron 42 footage. There's a couple more Frankenstein ships, so I think likely is it might be that they become one of the ships that's coming with Squadron, that's going to be a Squadron achievement to do in game, and then maybe or maybe not sold separately, just like the F8 Lightning was. So yeah, this thing is tasty. So there's that. What else have we got in this? I don't know why this is suddenly going so slow. Why are you suddenly going so slow? Well, apparently now we're just gonna. I mean, this is kind of interesting because I guess it just scoots forward, right? But there's your Idris. There we go. I didn't ever see it. I did a couple flicks through, but that there, yeah. Do you know what we're seeing here? I think is, on the video that Jojo had where the two lower modules were closer together. I think that's what we're seeing here, right? So yeah, he's probably right. I can't see anything from here on that back end, without being rude about it. So yeah. Great look at the cargo bay window at 6 seconds. And so it's going to be slightly off for me. Where are we talking? About here? Or are we not talking about this thing? What I miss? What am I not seeing? Am I just being blind? This bit here? That bit? Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Especially, I guess, either side of the docking clamp. I think this bit here. Yeah, because that's either side of the docking clamp, right? The docking collar. So that bit. Sorry, I'll go back. So that's the bit that sticks out. That was the question in the Q&A was, what do they do? And they were like, no, that's rule of cool, don't sweat it. That there is the docking collar. So the fact you've got one window there and one window there, they're the other side of the docking collar. I hope that window is a full Gothic stain. Yeah, maybe not, Wiggy. I mean, that would be cool, but yes. Windows on both sides, yes. It seems to be that. I mean, it kind of makes sense for me in that making sure things are lined up, being able to visually check the seal before you open the airlock door, that all of that to me makes sense, right? It's got an almost like interstellar vibe about it. So like I'm sanguine with the windows. The Paladin, which is looking great by the way. The Paladin looks like a seriously, heavy duty ship. And yeah, so really interesting there as you say that. If you watch, you see the reflection either side. As it rolls, you see the sunlight glint off it. There. So yeah, that's what that is. And then having another look just at the back end there, it's just too dark. There. It's just far too dark to see anything. I don't know. Maybe we'll have one more stab at that. But the problem is, I'm going to click this bit. There you go. And then that happens again. It's really frustrating. Let's go no. Stop doing that. So, let's grab the back end and see what we can see, shall we? That's what she's... Sorry. So, yeah. This is how I get demonetized, guys. Just so you know. That's what she said jokes. I don't know. Is that a... Can I... Ooh. What's that? Camera's frozen. That's alright. That's okay. I'll restart it now. But thank you for letting me know. I mean, it certainly doesn't look like there's a twin turret there, does it? Especially not with that angular kind of circular radar disc, the tracking disc, because there's nowhere there for it to show up. Um, yeah, it's just for me, it's not easy to figure out. There was supposed to be. Um, so yeah, there's one on top of the bridge. Yeah. So to go back to the video, then you've got this one, which is on. You got the one on top of the bridge there. And then you reckon there's one here. We don't see anything on that one. So yeah. So yeah, really interesting. In the beginning of the first flyby, you can see them. So that's the one on top of the bridge, right? That's the one that's like the dorsal one that's always been on top of the superstructure. So that's been there forever, and like we've said before, I think this one down here is the one aft relocated because it's got far better arcs down here. The one bit that bothers me about it being there is it now interrupts the arcs for the main turret that's underside. And why would you interrupt the arcs of a main turret for a secondary weapon? That doesn't make sense. Um, do we know these are size 8s? Where is that coming from? Because that's the interesting bit, is that somewhere somehow we determine that these are size 8s, and I'm not entirely sure that's the case. I'm not doubting necessarily. I'm just saying that I haven't seen the I haven't seen the information that supposedly come from, and it smacks to me a little bit of hopium. It's a little bit like we just want everything on this ship to get bigger. Like we've got better arcs for our secondaries, the remotes. Um, we've got extra guns on the man turret. We got PDCs now, and we got a lot of PDCs for the size of ship. Uh, do you see what I mean? It feels like that. It's like, oh, we want everything to get better about the ship. It's already a good ship. That's why it's so damn popular. People can already see that there's a very obvious gap that the Perseus is, kind of quantuming very nice into. Do you see what I did there? Um, so yeah, I don't think the Perseus necessarily needs to be hugely improved. I think there's only a couple things that I'm not sure about the aesthetic, but then again, as we've seen time and time and time again from CIG, these videos and these cinematics don't necessarily reflect the shape of the ship well. So I'm going to reserve a lot of my judgments and a lot of my observations for when I actually get hold of the ship rather than trying to do it now from the video and then, you know, doing that without an actual ship model ready to go. So yeah. So yeah, Stimpack, I'm really not sure that we're going to get the battle cruiser this IAE. They've already said, in September, they said that they didn't have any concept ships in the works, and that there wasn't enough time left in the year for them to create any. So this was the first year CIG will not sell a concept ship. So yeah, every ship gets nerfed after entering the game. Entirely correct. Yeah. Manga says, yeah, I appreciate the upgunning, and honestly, I prefer to put the new size 3 on its own turret Jav and not have the PDCs. Yeah, potentially. Weapon descriptions data mined from 4.1.1. Interesting. Yeah, so lots of time for it to change. Lots of times for them to have planted some random crap in the files like they have done on occasion. And I think that's kind of would be my observation, right? Is that so much changes very, very quickly in this game. What I don't want to have happen is for us to all come to these decisions and then people get disappointed. And my evidence for that is every single change that's ever happened in the game. Someone gets disappointed about it. So I think just the fact that we've seen the extra turrets on top. Are these bespoke? Are they not? Don't know. Can they be changed out? No clue. I'm guessing probably not. Just because of the things that you can do in terms of mounting other size whatever weapons there are there that will add, if you put cannons there, you're adding to the main battery firepower. The only thing that remains to be seen is how effective they are, because those turrets are not apparently that quick. So yeah. So yeah, it's a combat leap. It's a quantum leap in combat performance. Yeah, and I think the thing is, what we haven't seen a lot of is, I put some size 5s on my Guardian the other day to start doing some of the the phase 3 of the current event, the Fracture Frontier or whatever it's called, and holy cow, size 5 slap. The speed at which you can take down Cuddy Blacks and stuff like that is actually quite terrifying. So as long as you can land the shots, not easy because I was doing it in a Guardian. As long as you can land the shots, you do fine. Size 7s, I'm not sure that the Ares Inferno and Ion are an accurate representation. And besides, this isn't one Ares or Ion, Inferno or Ion. This is 4 of them strapped together, and that's quite terrifying. I think this is going to be significantly effective. There's going to be a lot of big ships that are going to get get torn a new one by this thing. So that's quite exciting. Be interested to see. I don't know if one of these is the torpedo base down here. That's quite. I can't wait to see 3 of these wolf backing in Idris. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the strengths of this ship is only 6 crew. And actually, if you read the Q&A for this, what's really interesting is the manned turrets can get bladed. Not just the remotes, the manned turrets, which is a little bit scary. Either that, or it is exceptionally poor wording in the Q&A, but I'll just show you what I mean. It's probably worth having a look at this, actually. So, let's zoom in a little bit so you can actually read it. Where are we? So here we go. Will it have pilot-controlled weapons? Will both big manned turrets be able to link to the pilot via computer blades if the crew gets sick? It says this. The pilot will have access to the torpedoes and some of the other bridge stations. Will be able to control weapons, so the remote turrets. Like other ships with manned turrets, they're designed to be human operated. However, as a fallback, they will be able to be NPC crewed or equipped with a computer blade. So either it's very poor wording and they're talking about the entire armament, but they're talking about it being human operated and NPC crewed. So it looks to me like her manned turrets can be bladed, which is a little bit incredibly terrifying. Right? So yeah. It will be interesting to see whether or not that's what we get or not. So yeah. OPM releasing the nerf just before the next ship gets released. NPC crew isn't even the 1.0 pipeline, so blades will take 10 years at least. I mean, possibly. 92 meters per second. That's. Watch my video. We'll talk about it. Watch the video when it comes out. But would you blade those big turrets? How effective will that be? I think the question there is, Wiggy, is will they be at least 1/3 as effective as doing it with human crew? Because if that's the case, you could have 1 Perseus with 3 crew in it, 1 piloting, 2 manning the turrets, or you could have 3 Perseus with the same 3 people and bladed turrets. And as long as those turrets are more than 1/3 effective, bladed turrets win out on the Perseus. You see what I mean? So they've got a lot of balancing to do, and when we talk about the idea of when things are going to get into the game, like blades, like NPC crews, this is why it's going to take a while, because, yeah, they've got some balancing to do. And hopefully engineering will go a part of the way to doing that and all that sort of stuff, but we'll see. Yeah. So as long as you can mark targets to focus on, I can see blades being somewhat effective. Exactly that. You want to incentivize human crew instead of automated or NPCs. Yeah, you definitely want human crew to be the better choice, right? Otherwise, it ceases to be a social game, and it becomes a space combat game with lots of players as targets. So yeah, I think players should be the way ahead on this, and I think they know as much, right, in terms of maybe how many NPC crew you can hammer, how you can hammer, all that sort of stuff. And this is the other thing that I think maybe they're moving away from is what are the expected weaknesses. The big weakness of this ship is a swarm of fighters, but now we've covered it in better remote twin size threes. We've given it 6 PDCs, and we've given the 2 main turrets anti-fighter weaponry as well. Effectiveness remains to be seen on that, but that's kind of interesting. So the other thing about the Perseus is that the remote turrets will be bladed as standard whenever blades come in. I think it was worded badly in just covering the fact that there's man turrets and remote turrets. Yeah, I think this is the bit that makes me doubt that is because it talks about them separately rather than together. So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so interesting and lots of stuff to look at on the Perseus, and kind of bear in mind. So here, for example, what you can see is you can see that same turret on the back of the bridge there, which is the one that we've seen all along. And there's another one that just sits under there in the original design, but it was on the underside. And you immediately see the problem with that, right? Is you sat behind the nacelles, you basically got like a 90-degree arc, maybe a little bit more, maybe 120 degrees out of the rear below it. And that's it. And that's not ideal. Because the interesting thing with blading stuff is what you need, what a blade's actually doing is it's turning off and on the ability for the ship to act like an NPC ship in some respects, right? Is that for all intents and purposes, when they implement NPC Perseus, that's bladed. Right? That's what's happening. Those remote turrets are bladed. So all they've got to do is the blade is effectively the ability to turn that off and on in a player ship, which is doable because that's what the PDCs are doing. So they're already kind of there. The question is how you turn that off and on and giving the players the ability to doing that and linking that to a physical object. So that sort of stuff I think is going to be maybe, a little bit tougher to incorporate for them. But again, we'll see. Sorry, I'm just trying to find some. I've got some other music to put on in the background because I'm aware that I've become pretty monotone again because I'm tired. So bear with me. I'm gonna find you some more fun music and then we'll go from there. Um, he says, frantically clicking for something he can't find. Well, he can't have it because I can't find it. So there. Sorry. Oh no, we're all right. We're all right. I found it. Found it. We're all good. We're all good. There we go. Didn't mean for that to happen, but you got that anyway. So hopefully that's not too loud. So yeah, Perseus looking good. Really excited about this. That's what I think we saw. Remember I said you had kind of the docking collar. That looks to be partially extended. And then the windows were either side, possibly in here in the recesses. So yeah, that's kind of cool. What's really interesting is that's a very similar image or angle to the one in the video, and again we can't kind of see anything in terms of the turret there. So yeah, it's been that. I like that Perseus got a bit taller. It still looks good in the in-game model. The bit here that's really interesting, I think, is how big the landing gear looks there. And I think that doesn't look too bad because you've got basically forklifts and an Ursa and you've got crew underneath it. So that doesn't look too weird. I think it might look a little bit strange when that happens and there's none of that. I think it might end up looking a little bit kind of crazy. You know? Just because it's going to be so far off the floor and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, an interesting one. And I'm going to go back to the talking head bit now. So yeah, so that's what the Perseus is. And like I said before, for those that weren't in the room already, or weren't in and around already, there will be a Perseus video coming out at some point in the near future before we get our hands on it. Lots of interesting stuff up there that isn't just a rehash of what we've just done. I've purposely kept away from a lot of what we're talking about. It talks about the Perseus and the fact that it's actually a 300-year-old design in the lore. It talks about where it came from, why it's so effective. We look at a specific historic engagement that the Perseus was part of, and I've done a load of work on the editing and all that sort of stuff. We look at real-world examples of where ships like this have been used in the past. And I've gone and got footage of that and all that sort of stuff. So some actual combat footage, maritime combat footage, drawing on my experience as a warfare officer. So yeah, that's going to be, hopefully it's going to be a really good video. Very soon, within the next kind of 48 hours, the fleet builder episodes that we do on here, where you guys get to come up with a fleet and put it against mine, and we talk about it in the video. Those fleet builder videos, the submissions will close. So if you're interested in that, check the Discord, look for the Fleet Builder channel. It will tell you exactly what you need to submit. And you can basically submit an image of your fleet with a description of what it does. I'll choose the ones that I like the most, and we'll talk about them during that episode. So that'll be more Perseus, and then obviously the moment the Perseus comes out, we'll be looking at a review of that ship physically, aesthetically, and from a warfare perspective. So it'll be kicking off my series of combat ships reviewed by a naval officer, someone who's been on board in terms of damage control and war fighting and all that sort of stuff. Hopefully really exciting for you guys to be able to watch. Shortly after thereafter, the next episode will be the Polaris. And then once the Hammerhead has its gold standard, we will look at the Hammerhead, because there are some bits that I am going to criticise about the Hammerhead that I might not need to, because it looks like they're fixing them in the gold standard pass. So we'll have a look at that as a new thing. So it'll be not just to look at the gold standard, but how does the Hammerhead look and operate as a warship based on actual naval standards. So hopefully that'll be something that's quite exciting for you guys. I'm really excited to bring that into your hands once that's out, but I couldn't not start with the Perseus. For those that don't know, I've been in love with the Perseus since I first saw it. I know many people are in exactly the same, forgive the phrase, boat as I am. We absolutely love this thing. I've been singing its praises since we talked about it on the Info Runners, and I had to tell Algrid and Execute that they were wrong, that this is an incredible ship. And everything I've seen makes me love it more, and I'm very, very lucky that there are some very special people who got together and arranged me actually getting a Perseus. So thanks to them, when my Perseus comes out, it will be all down to their efforts rather than my own. Yes, I have a name for my Perseus. No, I'm not telling you because I can't reserve it. So I'm not telling anyone until it's named, and then you can see it written large down the side of my Perseus. But yes, I do have the Thundercloud paint, and I don't think I'll ever fly it without the Thundercloud paint on. I might have it in the hangar so I can do the review on it and show that, but the Thundercloud paint looks incredible. Hey, Carlos, welcome in, my friend. Good to see you, Stuart. Good to see you, bud. I'd say about as high as the $600 landing gear. Yes, very possibly. It looks a little bit flimsy from that. I think they've gotten away with this image of its landing gear just because, like I said, there's all the stuff underneath it. I think if none of that was there, it would look possibly a little bit strange. A little bit gangly legs. Execute is crazy, absolutely, in the best possible way. The Perseus looks gorgeous, and I think it's gonna take up a gap in the fleet that we really don't have. You feel it sometimes with the Polaris when you're fighting against ships with still active PDCs. So you can't use your torps. The Polaris can feel a little undergunned against the big stuff, especially when we were fighting the Idris back a while ago. The Idris, after the main gun, its chin turret, there's not a lot there really in terms of heavy hitting. There's a lot of firepower, and you will burn things down, but I think the Perseus is going to sit in a nice little niche and do some real damage. And I'm looking forward to proving that on the 20th of November, so that's going to be awesome. I wish I had the Thundercow paints as Wiggy. Don't have the money at the time to buy it. Missed out. I'm really hoping that they will redo the Thundercloud paint for people because it is just gorgeous. And as much as it will be awesome to be able to say that we've got that, and be one of the rare people that have it. The only reason I got it is because I managed to buy one off of Edison. So yeah. I think I would be much happier if people can get hold of it because it is, for me, it's one of the best paint schemes in the game because it's based again on disruptive camouflage patterns in naval warfare. So yeah, name it the Badgers or the Badgers Nudgers even. Sebastian says, speaking of warships, is there any new info on the cruiser or battle cruiser ships? No, so they have said the battle cruiser will be the biggest ship they do. It remains to be seen on that. All I will say is if they continue to follow naval conventions from World War II, which is they've often cited that they're going off World War II for a number of things, so this might well be true. The battlecruiser will be the biggest ship in the game, apart from the Retribution class Dreadnought, which obviously we won't get because that's a one-of-a-kind, unique ship. So the the ship in the Squadron 42 video that gets its back end sliced off by the Kingship, that's a cruiser. Battle cruisers are bigger. And you know that's a cruiser because when Bishop turns around and looks at the hollow display behind him, you can see that Argus has cruiser written next to it. So yeah, that's a little bit terrifying. But yes, the battle cruiser will not be a soloable ship. Yes, people are going to try and people are going to ask. So yeah, I'm sure they'll have other cool paints. Yeah, and I'm going to have to keep some money in my back pocket for those paints. I think so. That'd be cool. I want an orange in 900A corporate battle cruiser, says Shadow Girl. The kind of ship Zuckerberg or Musk would fly in. Good luck with that. I'll reserve judgment until I see it. But yeah. So it will get nerfed into the ground in no time, just like the F-8C and other combat ships. I don't know. Yes, it will probably get a nerf. All the new ships do, but whether it's nerfed into the ground, not sure. It'll take an org to make it. It'll take an org to create. The battlecruiser, if they're selling it, it doesn't need to be made. So they said the battlecruiser will be the biggest ship the biggest concept sell that they do. It will be sold as a concept. Sorry, it'll be the last concept sell that they do because it's the biggest ship that they're going to do and sell to us, which indicates that the Bengal will be built and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's huge. And given the fact that the cruiser, the Argus that gets its backside shot off by the Kingship, is basically a Bengal with guns, bigger guns. Yeah, scary. Of course, the other thing is that just because it's a battle cruiser, it doesn't mean that it's built by current battle cruiser standards. If you look at battleships, for example, between World War I and World War II, there's a world of difference. And it might be that the battle cruisers that we're getting are very old ones that are no longer kind of up to modern combat standards by the UEE Navy kind of the modern combat style. So they might be smaller, and you kind of think so. But yeah, I wish the Polaris didn't get its mobility nav. I haven't flown one, so I haven't really. I've been in one, but of course not flying it and just sitting in a turret. You don't really see that. But yeah. Badgers might not be telling us the name for his Perseus for good reason. However, it doesn't stop us from suggesting names. You want to suggest names? Go ahead. But I'm pretty sold on mine. So here's that. Yeah. What wild a difference. Big, metally, floaty, shooty, gunny. This naval lark is simple. Yeah, thanks. From someone who rolls around in mud puddles, Napo, with the rest of the cadets, I'll take that as a compliment. So yes. Don't call it the hood. Don't call it bad juju. No. Don't do that. Sebastian says, you mean UEES hood, right? Not UEC. Big Metal Shooty, that's a name right there. Right there. Not sure why they picked a modified Bengal design for a cruiser. It would have been nice to see a bespoke design. That's what makes me think, Sebastian, that it's going to be bespoke. I don't think we're going to get the Badgy McBadger face. No, nothing needs to be my... No, why do you keep picking ships that sink? Just call it the Titanic. Did you say my name? Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that. Why not? So, God, what is wrong with you lot? Yeah, so there's that. And that's what makes me think it's not going to be a current UEE battleship. We have outstanding for the really big ships. We've got a cruiser, we've got a battle cruiser. We also have an escort carrier, a fleet escort carrier. So yeah, those are from the stretch goals. So, I no, just like I get the Musashi reference, but no, and Sangroper, I'm not even saying that on stream, my friend. That can stay in the comments where it belongs. Call it the CR pocket liner. Oh shit. Yeah, well, yes. I mean, quite. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to putting together to seeing what they come up with in terms of the battle cruiser. I think the battle cruiser, from the sounds of what they're talking about, is going to be more of a floating base. I think it's potentially going to have trade areas on it and servers and that sort of stuff that you would some of the stuff that we would yeah, UES, my ex-wife bought me this. Um, yeah. Or I bought this and now my wife is an ex-wife. Yeah, exactly that. I think if people buy battle cruisers, there will generally be some. You want to explain where $5,000 just went? Yeah, I bought a virtual spaceship, love. Love, hello. So yeah, some fun and games to be had. The last bit I guess I want to cover tonight. So we talked about the Perseus. Like I said, more coming in the video. Keep an eye out on that. Hey noob, good to see you. We were talking about you earlier, Daily. We've. I'm just gonna grab a link very quickly and pop this up. But if you get a chance to go over to Twitch and you want to go and see one of the most, if not, in fact, that's unfair. If you want to go and see the most chilled out, smooth brain kind of, is that all right for me to say smooth brain? Is that okay? On Twitch, you will find no better than Daily Noob. Oh, and there you go. Your video played, so you said hello as well, which is good. You don't have to be mad to work here, but it helps. So there we go. Go and check this gentleman out. It's also he's awesome. Loads of fun on his channel, and I will be because I'm not at work the next week, so I will be dropping in and seeing him and spending some time with him and his crowd. But yeah, absolutely solid investment, honest. UES husband, yeah, UES alimony. Good lord. But yeah, so the last bit that I kind of wanted to touch on, I guess, is the news that's come out this week of GTA 6. And I get that people a lot of people don't care. The point is that Chris does. And Chris has said in an interview with, I think, I can't, is it La Presse? He talks about sorry, I've just flashbanged myself because I'm finding this this article. But the bit here. Now, the other thing is that what was said here wasn't necessarily attributed to Chris, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's come out of his mouth, because this is also the article where they tried to say that they're going to release 1.0 in 2027 or 2028. And you and I and everyone else in here knows that that's horseshit. Did you hear me, YouTube? I said horseshit. Right? So we know that that's not happening. However, and I'm just going to jump across to show you now, this is what was said in the La Presse article. So it's this bit here, okay, where it says Squadron 42 will launch sometime in 2026 when it won't be overshadowed by the most anticipated game of coming months, Grand Theft Auto 6. We hope it will be an almost equally big event. Aside from GTA 6, it's probably the biggest budget AAA game, says Chris Roberts. So if that is true, I mean, I think it was comfortable gunning for an end of Q3, beginning of Q4 release for it. Now it's going to be a little bit more interesting. So, yeah. There's that. CIG should market Star Citizen as Grand Theft Auto in space. That way you can appeal to another audience. That would just be lying. So yeah, just clip that. Yeah, no, don't clip that. But yeah. So take from that what you will. I don't think we're going to hear anything from them. I mean, because we didn't have a set release date anyway. We just had a release year, which is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, that's where we're going. The problem with the CitizenCon release is that it immediately clashes with Grand Theft Auto 6. So less than a month later, Grand Theft Auto 6 will hit. And there'll be a bunch of people around that time who will be buying PlayStations and whatever just to play Grand Theft Auto. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm still full of hopium and copium from sitcoms, says Daily Noob. 10 years is a bit soon. Yeah. So one of the really interesting things, so I'm going to get rid of this because I'm not quite as flashbanged as I was. One of the really interesting thing is Chris Roberts mentioned when he was talking about game releases and that sort of stuff, he said that traditional games releases tend to have like 6 months of marketing before they go live. And the fact that that's in his head, I wonder if that's what he has planned for Squadron 42, that 6 months before it releases, that's what he's going to do. Because if that's the case, if they're going to set a release date and let everyone know for 6 months, we're already in November, so it means it's not likely before May at the very earliest, and you're already getting quite close to Grand Theft Auto 6. The other thing, and I said this in a video that I released on Friday, so apologies if you've seen that, but I think it's worth repeating, so bear with me for a second. This is Chris Roberts' baby. Okay, and he has come closer now to realizing this than at any other point in history. Yes, he had Freelancer and all that sort of stuff, but back then, by his own admission, he wasn't able to do the stuff that he wanted because it just wasn't available. You know, the tech could not support it at the time. I don't think it is. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that he wouldn't mind if half of his life's work or his like end game goal being Squadron 42 gets some accolades, maybe Game of the Year, maybe other industry awards. If you release in the same window as Grand Theft Auto 6, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to destroy you. Luna made a very Luna Maria made a very good comment on that video and said basically you've got to bear in mind that Rockstar have an established history of some incredibly successful games. GTA 4 set a record when it was released. I think 3 did as well. 5 set the record as the fastest piece of entertainment media in existence, and that it holds it to that day. Even on the success of those alone, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be huge. If anything like what they've got planned and what we've heard and rumoured, something like 60% of buildings being enterable, like that game's going to win so many accolades for a game that big. It is not unreasonable to say that CIG are going to try and separate out and be the next game and not try and compete directly with that. I don't think that's an unreasonable claim. And I think, they will certainly, Chris will certainly be thinking about this. So we'll have to see. A lot of the best story writers no longer works for Rockstar, though. Just saying, who's to say that GTA won't get another delay? Well, and this is the interesting thing is I saw a great picture of the people that have knocked up their girlfriends to coincide with the May release date, so they can be playing it during paternity leave. Now finding out that it's been delayed to November, I thought that was quite a fun idea. Yeah, that stuff. Yeah. So, and I think all of us here, what's really interesting is most of us are saying, it's not going to be soon. Now, they said sometime in 2026, that makes the entire year possible. But I think you need to be realistic about how much of a warning they're going to give people. I don't think it's going to be like not the Oblivion, was it the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake that literally they leaked it about a week before and it came out, they announced it and it was out the same day? I don't think they're going to do that with Squadron 42 somehow. So yeah, yeah, that. So Kiss My W, good to see you, my friend. Yeah, it was Oblivion. Yeah. So I really don't see them doing that with Squadron. I think there's going to be some lead in. There's going to be that sort of stuff. Yeah, and maybe, just maybe, we can get big enough as a community that CIG consider giving us an early release version, so we can play it a little bit more before everyone else. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Although maybe I'll release that as a video not before it releases because I don't want to spoil it for you guys. Hey, if it is even an option getting close to that date, I'll talk to you about it first. So we'll see. Yeah. So there's that. Yeah, I think it might have been a joke, Sloth, but I'm sure some people were planning it. Yeah, I'm all good, thank you, mate. I'm doing all right. So good to see you back, Kiss My W. Good to see you, my friend. So you're saying we should spam CIG social media? I mean, hey, if you want to, I think what might be quite good fun. Do you remember a while back we did a text adventure? We basically got ChatGPT to make us like a text adventure for Squadron 42. I did a little bit of digging into ChatGPT afterwards, and there's some fun things that we could do with it. And ChatGPT itself had some fun suggestions about how it would work and how I could basically fill it full of Squadron and Star Citizen knowledge, and then it would really start to make sense. So maybe we'll do that in future. Maybe I'll even do some sort of kind of like cosplay costume for it or whatever, and we could do some Squadron 42 text adventure beforehand. We could claim that we are the first people to play Squadron 42. That'll be quite good fun, and maybe that'll put us on the map with CIG. We'll see. We shall see. Like an AI haggis. Yeah. No. I've never seen a haggis in the wild. I've only ever eaten one. So yeah. And that's where we are. That kind of brings us up to date at the moment with what's going on at the moment outside of the game. Inside of the game, Fractured Frontier or whatever it's called. I don't know about you guys. I found it a little bit underwhelming, and I don't mean to crap on it. It just, given the absolute strength and the awesomeness of the ASD missions, and the Hyperion Lab stuff, and how awesome that is, and still so much fun to play through now. Given Stormbreaker and Hathor and everything else, the go here and repeat this 10, 15 times just seemed to fall a little bit flat. So it's just filler, says Space Saga, and he's entirely right. So yeah, that's right. Thank you very much, Wouter. We're just going to talk it. I'm just going to cover that, I guess, for the last 5 minutes. Give us Siege of Origin. Yeah, absolutely. Let us in. So engineering went to tech preview, and some of the Evo guys got a chance to see it. And the really important thing to remember with engineering is that what we're seeing and what's happening with engineering at the moment is engineering are dialed up to, the sliders up to 1,000%, right? Of engineering instances. There is no point getting the Evo guys to test engineering at the rate that it'll actually go in the game, because what you want is instances to happen. You don't want them to have to fly 30, 40 hours in Evo before things start breaking. So the fact that people were, kind of using boost all the way out of atmosphere and then the ship was catching fire, really don't see that being the case in real life unless you forget to switch your coolers on. That is dialed up to 11 because they need it tested. So they need instances of it happening from moment one. The idea that this is somehow going to be the death of single crew in big ships, I don't see that happening. I mean, the idea that you can jump into Quantum and run around your ship and do whatever you want, that's going to be part of it. Of course, you're not going to be combat effective. Of course, there will be delays. Any problem with your nav computer, with your quantum drive, with your normal engines to allow you to align to jump in the first place, that's going to delay you. And instead of doing what other ships would do, which is repair that whilst you're doing that, you're just going to do one thing at a time. So you're going to go to the engineering console, you're going to figure it out, what's broken, you're going to run there, you're going to put the fire out, you're going to fix the thing, and then you're going to go back, see that everything else is still working, and then you're going to go back and you're going to start the jump again. Whereas in a multi-crew ship, loads of those things are happening at once. So the idea that this is going to be the death of anyone, of single people using anything that is multi-crew, I really don't think that that's going to be the case. And there is an example of this. Do you remember when Wind and Storms first came out around about Planet Tech with Microtech? It might have even been a little bit before that. Do you remember all the damn time we were walking into gales, right? We were walking into hurricane force winds and unable to move anywhere without the really slow animation? That still happens on occasion, but it's not happening anywhere near as much as it did. And that's because they brought it in and they went to everyone, hey, there's weather in this game and we're going to force it through your eyeballs to show you that there's weather in the game. And that's what they did. And then now they've dialed it back and it's much more manageable. That's likely to be the case with engineering. We're going to get much higher instances of it initially, and then it's going to be dialed back to something that's much more reasonable. And now that whole walking into gale things, when it happens, is almost a reminder of the bad old times when it used to be every single time, whenever we see it. So there's that. People are still going to use massive ships to get to point A or point B or just as daily flyers. Exactly that. I remember seeing constellations rolling in the wind on aerial. Yeah, ships just effing off into the distance because of the wind. Exactly. I forgot, but yeah, absolutely. But I just think you're spot on regarding engineering. Thank you, mate. I miss when ships would blow away in the wind. Kiss My Dowie says, also for personally, I can think of anything being more boring than a GTA game. It just doesn't float my boat anymore. I'm older now. I think more like me. People want to give credit for. Yeah, I mean, I'm still playing GTA 5 now. I was playing it earlier on today. I've quite enjoyed the online side of things, and I love, like, Trevor, for me, from GTA 5 is one of the most memorable gaming characters I think I've ever encountered, because he's just so batshit crazy. He's great. But yes, I can absolutely see why people don't. And this isn't my treatise to make everyone else kind of enjoy it and want to play it and all that sort of stuff. This is merely a wow. That was bright, and I didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. But you see my point, right? Is that it's absolutely, Grand Theft Auto just has the mass appeal, and we are in the niche here. Yeah, with space simulation games, they're a lot less popular than they once were, I think, and also games like Starfield and that selling on huge promise, making sweeping kind of statements about how impressive they were going to be, and then generally being underwhelming. Although I did enjoy Starfield, it wasn't everything it could have been, especially not from that studio. And I think maybe there's a little bit of fatigue going around as well. And I really hope, but I do agree with, and someone said this earlier, and I saw the comment and then didn't respond to it, which was someone saying that they think that Squadron 42 is going to be more successful than maybe people are giving it credit for. And I would agree with that 100%. I think Squadron 42 is going to actually not be a bad game at all. Sorry, it's Kiss My W, yeah. Even with the GTA 6 bomb going off. So yeah. Step back, good to see you, mate. Sleep well, buddy. Take it easy. The only good thing about GTA is the skit on Misfits about it. I mean, I don't know. And like you say, it's horses for courses, right? Trevor was crazy, says Luna, absolutely. And I'm looking forward on Luna's recommendation to be able to go and play Red Dead 2 at some point in the near future, and play that through. So that'll be good fun as well. But yeah, it's been kind of a little bit crazy watching all this happen. Like I say, I don't think engineering is going to make combat much more challenging, and solo crew in combat is going to be nigh on to a death trap. I don't think that's a massive shock to anyone. That's just going to be the way it is, and frankly, the way it should be. I don't think solo players should have much of a chance. Obviously, blading and stuff like that, you know, will go some way to mitigate that. But a solo player, just because they can afford, for example, a Hully or a Hercules, whatever variant they've got, shouldn't be able to win just because they bought the ship and then can blade it or NPC crew it. That should go a lot better than soloing it, but the soloing should be a real challenge for them. And that will have its place in the game. That will be in secure systems with a lot of advocacy presence, a lot of UAE Navy presence, and all that sort of stuff, and local security militia. In Pyro or Nyx, that should be akin to basically a suicide run. So there's that. Dave says, I hope a lot of the negativity and negative press surrounding SC doesn't transfer to Squadron 42 on launch, causing review bombs and shit posting right on release. Yeah, I know what my inner realist says about that, but I hope so too. So yeah. Engineering is going to be boss, going to open the door to personalising the ships in a way we can't imagine, like gear, building and tuning their own hot rods. Yeah, absolutely. I'll pass GTA anyway. It's too expensive for just a simple hooligan game. Yeah, we'll see how it comes out. I mean, I'm looking forward to getting hold of it, but I'll be getting hold of it as a PC version. I won't be buying a console just to play it. So yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Well, there was a bit of a tech delay coming in, but I think we've made that up now. So it's been a pleasure to catch you all. Like I said, please, if you're happy to show your support, give the Perseus video a look when that gets released. Make sure you got the bell on and stuff so you see when that happens. And if you like it and you think it's worthy of it, maybe recommend it to friends or whatever. But I've been very keen to try and do the Perseus justice in this video, and later on when I do the review video of it actually being released. So yeah, it'll be really good fun to see it and see how it see what you guys think of it. Awesome. Thank you, Denny Noob, appreciate it. Luna Maria, thank you very much. Thank you for posting the video, the pictures of your ships that you've been creating in Discord. I think people got a lot out of seeing those, so that was awesome. Thank you very much, guys, and again, awesome community. For those that know what I'm talking about, it's been a little bit challenging recently. It's always great to come and see you guys on Sunday and chat and interact with you guys. So have a great week, whatever it is that you guys are doing. Take care of yourselves. Of course, it just does that, doesn't it? I just get flashbanged. Winner. You've been watching Drinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.